Have I learned my lesson about filming so late at night? Apparently not, because here I am. Yeah. Hello everyone, and welcome to whatever this video is going to become. My name is Zarina, and today we're going to be going over all my favorite books for the year of 2024. We're going to go with the fact that I'm in a narwhal onesie, because honestly, today has just been a day. But like, how could you be upset dressed like this? Sorry, I had to take the hood off. It was driving me crazy. Anyway, last year I had a fantastic reading year. I read 101 books, which is kind of crazy because even though, like, if you've known me throughout my life, I've always kind of been a reader, but the closest I've ever gone is like the 80s. So when I saw last December that I was in like 95 in the first week of December, I was like, oh no, we're doing this. We're getting to 100 books, and I got to 101. So, but there's going to be tons of books that are not mentioned in this video, and if you would like to see some of the other ones, I have a playlist on my channel with all the books I read throughout the year split into months. So if you want to see that, wherever the thing is, that the playlist of the video comes up. Beautiful. Okay, and then also I'm going to be going pretty quickly through most of these books because I had quite a few like really good reads in 2024, and just so that I don't yap for too long, because I am firmly a yapper, and the two last freaking videos I just edited were like 50 minutes long, and that's my goal is like somewhere between the 20 to 30 minute range, and like 50 and 40 minutes are just too much for me to edit, and I think for you to watch. So if you want to see more in-depth reviews for most of these books, I will be leaving, editing me will put the month somewhere on screen or in the description, or both, so you can just go directly to that video and you don't have to, and like you can get that more in-depth review. Yeah, okay, now let's actually get started before I continue to yap for eternity. Cool, okay. So the first book for the video is actually the first book I read for the year. It was a 5-star read, and that was by Kika, Hatzopoulou, and it's Threads That Bind. This is the first one in a series. I have not yet had a chance to read the second one, but I am very excited for that. Basically, in this world, we're following Elle, who's born one of 3 sisters who happen to be descendants from the Fates from Greek mythology, and they all have different powers. Reading it so I don't get it wrong. So the oldest one is able to weave, the middle one is able to like draw fate lines between people, and then the youngest one can cut those threads that connect people. And so Io is a private investigator, and while she is doing her thing in the city, she happens to run into people and do things, and that was a great description, hold on. So Io is a private investigator, and she is investigating the like disappearance of some women whose life threads have been messed with and kind of been like unleashed onto the city. And as part of her investigation, she has to like work with like the mob of the city to kind of like help her get leads. And then it doesn't help that her older sister is also like involved with her best suspect. So I thought the private investigation discovery thing was really fun, and then I love stuff based in Greek mythology, and I've read a lot of it, and the way that it's written into this book really surprised me, so I really enjoyed that. Yeah, but overall I'm really excited to pick up the second one. Yes, so please read this one. This one was a lot of fun. So I should mention, these are all probably 5 stars. If you want to see what I actually rated them, please go back to their respective videos, because honestly, I don't remember. So sorry, my bad. The second one in my best books is A Study in Drowning by Reid. It's kind of like dark academia at its best, I think. Dark academia and like kind of magic, but like kind of not magic, and like yes, but no, and then yes, but also no. Fantastic description. This chaos is a lot, and it's happening apparently, because oh my god. Yeah, no, I love this book a lot. I actually made one of my friends like immediately read it after me, because I was like, I need someone to talk about this book, please. And I know this is actually really big in like the book talk sphere. I think the hype around it has kind of chilled out. Honestly, the hype around it had already kind of chilled out when I read it in February, because I don't love reading book talk books when they're really big. I've been burned so many times. Powerless, hated that book, so sorry. But yeah, and I really enjoyed this one. I feel like Reid is very talented in creating the atmosphere, both description wise, like that you see it, but also in the way she writes. Like there's a lot of different motifs to drowning in like the literal sense and the metaphorical sense, and I feel like her writing does such justice to it. There are trigger warnings for this book. I can't remember which trigger warnings, I just remember it being really, really important to the plot, and it was handled very well, whatever the trigger warning was, but there is a trigger warning. So please, if you are someone who is sensitive and likes to look at trigger warnings, please check that for your own safety. Yes, but overall, it was a really great book. I feel like, dog barking, I feel like these days, a lot of books are coming out to be like thicker and thicker with like, Herman is barking. Earlier, he was barking at a cat, and it's really funny because I don't think he's ever seen a cat up close, and a cat had jumped into our backyard, and he was inside. Herman, what are you barking at? Oh my gosh, hold on. So, that cat I was just telling you about, yeah, he was back in the backyard, and that is in fact why Herman was barking. And I completely forgot what I was talking about this book, but like, yeah, please read it. Oh, that's what I was talking about. I feel like nowadays, a lot of books are coming out, and they're like, what is happening with this piece of hair? They're coming out and they're like ridiculously long for like no reason. And I really appreciate, I think for Threads That Bind and Study in Drowning, how short they are. And like, okay, I know there are people who are like, especially with the anti-intellectualism conversation that was going around TikTok and like BookTube like a month ago, I don't know. I have no concept of time for any of these things. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, just people can't read long books anymore. They don't have the attention span for it. Maybe, but also like, why are they so badly edited? Like, why are you telling me the same 400 things in the same chapter, like chapter after chapter? You're telling me the same thing. These chapters don't need to exist. I know people are like, oh, skimming, but like when I can skim an entire chapter and then read the next chapter and like figure everything out, we don't need the chapter before it. Like, please just get rid of it. This has nothing to do with the study of drowning. I'm perfect. I'm just ranting. I have some, yeah, maybe one day I'll do a video of like my what's it called? Unpopular book opinions, because I feel like I accidentally have a lot of them and it's literally not on purpose. The dog is like fighting for his life out there against a stuffed cow and it's really funny. Wow, so on topic today. But yes, A Study in Drowning by Reid. Thumbs up. Okay, so I now have a prisoner. he would not stop barking and people are asleep in the house, so he may not. Also, we have a Dalmatian English pointer mix who is very, very old, and whenever she tries to go pee, he won't leave her alone. So I have to hold on to him. So instead, Herman, say hello to the camera. We want to stand? We're standing up? Yeah, he's part pug, oh, okay, no, not yet. You can't go outside yet. He's part pug, part Shih Tzu, and part poodle. So, yeah, we wacky dogs. We got all the wacky dogs that the shelter has to offer. However, we usually adopt senior dogs. He is a puppy. He's less than a year old. He is a Pisces. I'm really curious to ask the rescue if they know his birth time, because like, you've got to be some kind of, what are you, Taurus moon and a fire sign rising. That's got to be correct, because you're kind of diabolical, but you're also a Pisces sun. He's like, what the hell are you telling me? Alrighty, brief pause over. That wasn't really a brief pause, but we paused, so okay. The next couple books that I have are series, and yes, unfortunately they are all good, so I would suggest all of them, and they are some of my favorite books for 2024. They are not from 2024. You're gonna be like, Zarina, you're barely reading these? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm late to the party, okay? I had no idea how to use Google in middle school, and one of my friends was trying to get me to read these books. She, in middle school, knew that I would only read things in order. She introduced me to the early work of this author, and I hated it, so I never got to these. But she was trying to get me there, because she knew I hate Google. Why? And that series is The Raven Cycle by Maggie, our friend Maggie from this channel, where you know I cannot pronounce her last name. I love these books to an earth-shattering degree. They have changed the very chemistry of my body. The Raven Cycle series is primarily about, so, a girl named Blue. She is... Are you okay? Are you okay? ¿Qué pasó? I'm scared.
I broke the Mafalda mug.
No! So, the Raven Cycle series is about a girl named Blue who all the women in her family are psychic, and she lives with like a bunch of them. And basically, she doesn't have psychic abilities like her family does, but she is told by all of her family members that if she were to ever kiss her true love, he would die. And so basically, she goes around her life just thinking she can avoid it. And then all of a sudden, one day, she meets this group of boys from like the rich private school of the area. I believe it's a small town in Virginia. And she gets entangled with the mystery that they're trying to solve about the town, because the town is a wacky place. Not only is it home to a huge house of psychics, it is also home to a bunch of paranormal, supernatural stuff happening. And she gets mixed up with them, and like, oh my god, I literally, like, you can't, these books are like, they're beautifully written. They're written also in a way where they feel plotless, but like, they're not. And then you don't really realize that plot has happened till you look back and you're like, what the heck? When did all of this happen? Like, how did we find this out? Every single line is so beautifully crafted and so in place. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it just sits in your soul. Also, Miss Maggie is so talented at writing Unlearning. Her other book as well. Oh my god, I should have pulled the Scorpio races too. Let's just add the Scorpio races on top of this, because the Scorpio races were also fantastic. Her ability to write Yearning, not only like if you are someone who loves like slow burn Yearning, do I have some books for you, because oh my god, they are fantastic. And yeah, I simply, like, reading these books, I cannot breathe. I have no concept of time and space, and it's just me and the books and the people in the books. And yeah, I love books that literally physically take me out of reality, and that's these. And if you've seen some of my other videos, you know that I have like a slower book happening where I kind of only read that at night right before I go to bed, and then I have like a book I take with me on the go. And these are actually the books that started me doing that, because I realized that I was reading the first one really quickly and I didn't feel like I was fully absorbing it to its fullest degree and kind of like getting that storytelling element. So I kind of made myself like read 4 chapters a night, I think, with these books, and I like made myself wait till the end of the day to get my 4 chapters. And I think not only is she fantastic at writing Yearning, because I physically was making myself wait, like it just would build up, and I just remember getting like being so excited to go home and like get into bed and read my chapters. Yes, if you notice, there's only 3 books here. This is a 4-book series. I have the 4th one. I'm currently finishing A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, and then after that I will be moving on to The Raven King, because that's the 4th book. And yeah, when I finish the 4th one though, I will give a tour of my special edition ones, because these are the Fairy Loot editions of these. I got them thanks to a very wonderful friend who on here is known as Sonia in Neverland. So please go check out her channel. She's the one who gave me inspiration to start my own channel. So Sonia, I miss you. So next, we're going to be jumping into some of my favorite contemporary romances for the year. Yes, and if anyone who knows me is surprised to see hockey romance on this, you actually don't know me, because that's it. Hockey romance is one of my guilty pleasures. I don't love sports. Everything I know about sports is against my will, especially about baseball. Like, I know way too much about baseball. Yeah, and the book that is on here is The Dixon Rule by Elle Kennedy. If you saw my December books video, you know I hated Girl Abroad, and I literally said to read any other book. Yeah, the series that these books are a part of. So technically, this is actually the 3rd series in a bigger series of books, and that is like the Briar U University, like universe. Basically, college hockey team. Yes, you understand. And this one is this is the 2nd book of this series. So the first one is fantastic too. It's not as good as this one. And what's really hard is I really want to tell you to go read this one, but if you don't read the other like 9 books, 10 books before this one, I feel like you won't really have the same experience. Like, you could read this as a standalone and it'd be really good, but like at the same time, it's like, why would you when you have so much content? Yeah, this was probably by far has been my favorite one in all those series, and these are 100% my guilty pleasure. Like, I understand. This is why this video is called my favorites, not the best books, because if this video was called The Dogs Are Now Beefing Outside My Door, did I just chase the dog fully around the house for me to not catch him and just, yes, okay, yeah, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, this book is called my favorite books of the year because they're not necessarily good. They're just the ones that I had a good time. And this one, these are just straight up good times, just not paying attention to like anything else. And in all actuality, I could not tell you if a single thing about the grammar was bad, because I was just so enthralled by the story that I don't know, man. I wasn't paying attention to anything else. These are the last two I'm doing tonight because I can feel my brain actively trying to escape through the little trapdoor that it's deciding to make. Yeah, that sounds correct. So yeah, we're just gonna go off with my first 5-star romance read for the year, which was Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. So I think I described in the video for this month, but I actually didn't know that I would like Ali Hazelwood because a couple years ago I read someone who wrote a book called The Hazelwood, and I hated that book a lot. I do not remember the plot of it now. I just remember that I extremely disliked it, and I thought my brain did not compute that one is a title of a book and the other one is an author's name. And so my friend was like, just give it a chance and read it. And I was in the 8th grade during 2016, aka the reason I own a narwhal onesie, because this is in fact from the 8th grade. That was like peak Clance, Voltron Tumblr, Galaxy leggings, and I think Annoying Orange was still around then. Fred. Yeah, it was a time to be alive, and like many middle schoolers of the time will have. I definitely had Wattpad. Sorry, the dog wanted her bed. But basically, yeah, I love fan fiction. It's basically where I was going with that entire thing, which could just be, yeah. And Ali Hazelwood very much writes like fan fiction from 2016, and I know that is in fact where she got her start, was fan fiction. And I also know where she got her start with Reylo fanfiction, and I am a huge Reylo shipper. If I couldn't get any more of a nerd than what you see currently around me, I do in fact love Star Wars. I'm not caught up with all the Disney stuff because like, yeah, that's a lot, and I don't really have, I have the time. I just don't care. I watched Clone Wars. I like Clone Wars a lot. I don't have to watch Bad Batch. I'm getting off topic, but she did, I know The Love Hypothesis is Reylo fanfiction that got like repackaged, and honestly, I have the time of my life with Ali Hazelwood. Oh my gosh, she was on Book Talk, and now she's on BookTube too. Her name's Lexi, or Newly Nova. I think that's her username. She describes it as being an Ali Hazelwood apologist, and I am also an Ali Hazelwood apologist. I love anything. Ali Hazelwood could write a book about literally anything and I'd read it. So I loved Love Theoretically. I liked it way too much. And then not for me, Jack Smith, according to my friend Cynthia, reminds her a lot of Nanami from Jujutsu Kaisen. I have watched a lot of anime in my days and read a lot of manga. I have not personally watched Jujutsu Kaisen, but yeah, if you're into that, it's like Nanami fanfiction. You can just change the name in your head to Nanami and have the time of your life. Okay, wrapping up for this section tonight because wow, yes, and that is another Ali Hazelwood book, and that is Not in Love. Cynthia just finished reading this because I made her, and I don't know what to say. I'm just so proud of myself because I love this book. Yeah, Jack Smith can be hers. He's mine. Okay? That's just, yeah. We're just gonna, yeah. As you already heard my rant about being an Ali Hazelwood apologist, the second I finished this book, I texted her and went, I need her next book now. And luckily, I think it's been long enough now that Deep End, which is her next book, comes out at some point this year. So I need it yesterday. Yeah, and this is my favorite Ali Hazelwood book, and Cynthia and I have discussed it is mainly because the main girl very, very much struggles to have any communication about her feelings, but the guy is very, very good at being telepathic, and like not in a really terrible way. Like it's actually really good, and it's really sweet, and the relationship is great, and like other parts of the book are fantastic, and it's just yeah, it's a good time, and it's great. And if this being my Ali Hazelwood book says something about me, we're just not gonna mention it. Yeah, yep, okay. I am leaving you now. Narwhal me is going to bed. Fully functioning Zarina will probably be here to tell you the other half of these books. Oh wait, can I do a transition? Hello, it's me from the next day, but you already knew that. Guys, there's been significant news in the world since I woke up this morning, and that is that Tom Holland and Zendaya are engaged. I'm literally so happy. I have a very big moral rule where I do not ship real human beings. Like, yes, that's just a very groundling rule. There are very few celebrity couples who happen to bypass that rule just because, like, I'm a human being, I do my best. But Tom Holland and Zendaya are one of those couples, and I'm just so happy for them. Like, yes, I'm aware that I'm a human being that they don't currently perceive as, like, existing on the world, but, like, I can still be happy for them. Like, good vibes to them, you know? Anyway, let's actually continue. So the next 3 books that I have are nonfiction, and I purposely saved them to today because there was no way that I was going to have enough brain space to talk about them last night. But yeah, technically there's actually 4. Okay, anyway, let's get started. The first 2 I'll talk about together, and one of them I don't have. So the first one is Unmasking Autism by Dr. Devon Price, and the second one is Unlearning Shame, How We Can Reject Self-Blame Culture and Reclaim Our Power, but also Dr. Devon Price. Yeah, my last video, I kept saying Prince again. Why I film things very late. It is not very late right now, so we're chilling. But yeah, Dr. Devon Price. Hello, can I speak? Unmasking Autism is basically kind of just like, so Unmasking Autism is basically a book talking about the kind of like both the concept of what masking is for neurodivergent people, and also like a partially kind of step-to-step guide if you are a neurodivergent person, mainly in the autistic space, how to unmask. And what makes this book very unique is that Dr. Devon Price is in fact autistic himself. So that book was really, really fascinating and interesting. And honestly, like, everyone masks to some degree, not so much as people who are neurodivergent, especially autistic, do it, especially if you're late diagnosed autistic. But if you happen to be neurodivergent or have a neurodivergent person in your family, I would really, really suggest that book as just like a way to either get to know yourself better or to like kind of get to know, I don't know, what that person in your family or friend group is going through. Highly, highly suggest. Even though it is more nonfiction and it's more academic-y, Dr. Price is very talented in the way that he writes it's not very hard to comprehend. Like, everything is broken down very, very easily to understand. That wasn't English. We're gonna continue. Everything is broken down really well to understand. What am I trying to say? You know what I'm trying to say. Whatever, you get it. And the same thing with this one. This book mainly focuses on a concept that Dr. Price calls systematic shame. Basically how our culture in the United States has made us, there are ways that we are taught to feel shame that are reinforced by the culture around us, both on like an internal level, like a community level, and then like a more overarching external level. And he kind of breaks that down. I don't want to get it wrong, so I'm having a really hard time finding words to actually describe this book properly. But just like Unmasking Autism, this one also takes you through steps on how kind of to start dismantling that shame you might feel that you might not realize you feel. Yeah, so this is actually the moment where I'm going to send you definitely back. This is the December video to go watch this one. And because to explain this, it's going to take too long, but it was fantastic and well written, and yes, please read. Cool. Okay, next book. So this next book I actually believe is from December of 2023, but I wasn't very active on YouTube or like social media or anything, so I didn't really include it in anything, but I did want to include it in this because it's such a good book, and that's Ways of Being: Animals, Planets, Machines, The Search for a Planetary Intelligence by James Bridle. I feel like if you're someone with like the surge of AI coming into everything, and you're like someone who kind of is like, oh no, AI is going to destroy us, and like, one, it's not. Chill, okay? You got this. Take a deep breath. You're chilling. But if you need something that helps kind of explain it to you in terms of not like give you another reason why AI is not going to take over the world, other than, you know, like, yeah, this book is really good at that. There's no end to that other sentence. Sorry. Basically, this book is mainly kind of talking about how, as humans, we consider ourselves like a higher intelligence to other species on the planet, but that might not actually necessarily be correct. Like, it really decentralizes human intelligence as like the main form of intelligence on Earth. Because let's be real, we're all just the same things. All living things, we're the same thing. We just, as humans, have created a standard of intelligence, and we kind of just like default to that. Just, you know, I don't know whether it's natural programming or because we've been trained, or like, I'm sure it's a mixture of both. But this book just really talks about where really, really cool natural world intelligence other than human intelligence is found, and how it's comparable to things we have, or things that like humans have tried to create and haven't been successful at. And like one of the main like lines throughout the story is he's talking about how like AI can only truly be as intelligent as humans because we are what created it. Like, you could only be like the capstone is human intelligence, and because we created AI, it can never really actually bypass the capstone. So as a part of my, sorry, I'm blabbering on, but like, so, and that's because as a part of my degree for film and media studies, for the media part, in my last year, there was a really big emphasis on AI because it had just kind of come out, and like, you know, it was the emerging technology. And I mean, it's still emerging, but like, and also as a part of that, I got to work with the Lincoln Center for Applied Ethics at ASU as a student ambassador for one of their AI programs. And honestly, it's really interesting that the social perception of AI, the words artificial intelligence are actually just marketing, because like they're not actually artificial intelligence. They're all just either large language models or really, really fancy algorithms. So that's why I kind of like giggle a little bit when kind of people freak out about AI. Like, yes, it is like, we don't always know exactly what's happening once you start doing it, but it's really just an algorithm. So like, it's chill. This book was really, really fun. I will say however, this book is a lot more dense than the previous two. It's not something you can necessarily, I don't know, maybe you're really good at reading some public places, but for me, I had to like sit at home and commit to reading like 10 pages a day and to like really absorb what he's trying to say, because it definitely is more dense. But there's I don't usually tab books, so the fact that this has tabs on it, there was just some banging quotes. Hold on, let's see. Oh, okay, yeah, I have this quote underlined. "We just don't know, but if we are prepared to give up some of our desire for totalizing knowledge, if we are prepared to treat understanding as a process and a negotiation rather than a route to mastery and dominance, then there is much we can learn and understand from the wisdom of others. That is not the only thing we will have to give up. As well as admitting that we cannot know everything, we will have to admit and act on the fact that we cannot be everywhere." And I don't know, I think that's just, yeah, I had a good time. And then this one is one of my favorite studies about mushrooms and shortest distance to cities. Yeah, and this also kind of really talks about how like why data is so important, and I don't know, this is just a fantastic book. I had such a good time. I actually got this at the Natural History Museum in Washington DC on the National Mall, and I love myself a good museum, and I never thought about the fact that you can buy books from museums, so that was the first time I ever did this. Definitely talking way too long. Okay, moving on. So this next book, if you watch my December videos, you know I cried, so I'm going to do this without crying, I promise. So, and that next book is You Will Get Through This Night by Daniel Howell. So Daniel Howell is, you might have heard them from, you know, the really big British YouTubers, Dan and Phil. This Dan, he wrote a book about a practical mental health guide, and it's not only the best YouTuber book I've ever read, it is so incredibly helpful and wonderful and like amazing that he was able to do this, because yeah, go back to the December video because I explained a little bit of why it's such an incredible thing that he did this, but yeah, it's incredibly well structured. It's mainly into 3 parts: today, tomorrow, and the day after, and basically each section today is about like in the middle of an anxiety attack, what are some like grounding exercises you can do, stuff on that first, and then tomorrow is kind of like what habits can you start immediately changing in your space to start relieving your symptoms of depression and anxiety, and then after that is like the overarching things, like what are bigger things you can change in your life to help alleviate symptoms. And don't worry, I did not just blindly trust a YouTuber for mental health guide. There's a professional consultant in the book. He wanted to make sure that it was accurate and that it was actually gonna be helpful rather than harmful to people, because he himself has struggles with depression and I believe anxiety. That I might be making that up, but depression for sure. One of the main reasons I started crying was I've been watching Dan for 12 years, I think I calculated, when I was 9. I'm currently 21. Yeah, and it's honestly just amazing that he's able to do this. So yeah, this one's great. If you struggle with depression and anxiety, please reach out to professionals for help. I know it can be really hard, but like taking that first step is super important. Please go to December's video. It has more information about this book. Sorry that section was like a little bit low energy. I feel like with the nonfiction, I feel like I have more of a responsibility to like properly represent them. And it's a lot harder on my brain because I can be my brain is like processing more better information, more academic information, I guess. Yeah, the dogs are barking. So sorry if you can hear them in the background. It's super windy outside, so we can't let them outside. It literally I looked out of the window. We have a wind warning, and I looked out of the window, and it literally, no tornadoes where I live, but I was like, are we about to go to the Wizard of Oz? Are we about to hold space for defying gravity in a different way in the sky on the way to Oz? Because that's what the sky looked like. And I panicked because I'm Californian. We don't have tornadoes. So like, what do I do if there's a tornado? We don't have bathtubs? Like, I don't know. That's the only thing I've heard about tornadoes is like you get in the bathtub. I don't know where this is going. Anyway, the next section of books is stuff based off mythology, or like mythology takes a really big part in them, and that's literally the only qualification for this grouping. And technically Threads That Bind should be in this section, but I don't know. I just wanted to start with something exciting. So the next book is Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Romero-Garcia. I feel like this was really, I feel like I saw it on Book Talk. I don't know if it was actually big on Book Talk. I have a really wacky YouTube Book Talk, TikTok algorithm. I like see things and my friends are like, where the hell did you find this? Like, what depths of the internet? I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, this book is fantastic. It takes place in 1920s Mexico. Yeah, she embarks on a journey and she meets a Mayan death god and they go on journeys through 1920s Mexico. And that's all I can really tell you that happens, because honestly, I was just there for the vibes. The storytelling, the language of the story was just so fascinating and like so fun that I don't really remember what happens and I don't really care at this point. The ending, I think I was screaming, crying, throwing up in like the good way. Also, like, the cover is gorgeous, if that doesn't convince you enough. So yes. For the next book, we are going to a true and classic author for myth retelling, and well, that one's not a retelling. This one is a retelling, and that is Miss Madeline Miller with Circe. I read Song of Achilles in like high school. And back to me, so I don't look up things. For example, there was a book in my December video where I had no idea it was a part of a series, because high school me was like, this is a standalone book, even though the end is like totally like the beginning of a series. Same thing with like bands. Like, I'd listen to one song and I'd be like, that's it, this is the song, and like I'd never look up the albums or anything. That's actually how I got into K-pop. One of my friends literally put a GOT7 album on my phone, and then Apple suggested a BTS album, like a BTS song, and I listened to it, and like I never looked into who GOT7 or BTS was until high school during COVID, when I was bored and found Stray Kids. So again, tangenting, but I just don't look stuff up. So I did not realize the author of Song of Achilles, the book that actually ripped my heart and soul out of my body, had a different book, and that happened to be Circe. And honestly, I really enjoyed this. I grabbed it at a airport because I realized I had accidentally packed all my books into my luggage instead of my backpack, and I desperately needed something for the plane. And I read this and I cried my eyes out. And if you haven't read anything by Madeline Miller, I feel like this one or Song of Achilles would be fantastic. There's no words to explain what Madeline Miller does to stories. Like, she takes these profound stories that already mean a lot to like the human psyche. That is that right? Someone tell me if that's right. I don't know. I'm using big words, and Elmo doesn't know if they're used correctly. That's all I can say. If you know, you know. You know? Yes. Okay. And so the next book is also in the myth retelling, but this one's not by Madeline Miller. This one's by Luna McNamara, and it's Psyche and Eros. If you know a little bit too much about me, you know this is my favorite Greek myth. If you know this, it has a happy ending. Like, how many Greek myths have happy endings? And like, I feel like the fairy tale value of Psyche and Eros is just like, and Luna McNamara does such a good job with it. And like, this might be a bias because of how much I love the Psyche and Eros myth, but it's so good, and it's so short, and it's so readable, and and it's beautiful. Yeah, sorry, this is also, it's a romance, so like romance, happy ending, Greek myth. Percy Jackson, middle school me is like scream, crying, throwing up, which I guess you wouldn't be able to tell that I had a Percy Jackson phase. You know what? Yeah, you can. But yeah, they're currently, so this is a K-pop shelf. That is also a K-pop shelf. But on the bottom of this 3 bookshelf thing from IKEA, the bottom shelf is my Rick Royden shelf, which I'm considering moving because you can't really see. Yeah, but I also need more space. I don't know. We're gonna move on. We're just gonna move on because this video is getting really long already, and I just know it. The next book, so I tried very hard not to, I think the only other one is the Dixon rule. I tried really hard not to have like 2nd or 3rd books in the series, and tried to do my favorite books like that people could start, but unfortunately, This one, I could not do that because I was scream crying, throwing up, having a good time, and I was like, I must include this. Especially because I feel like this will be a very, very controversial take, and that is The Brothers Hawthorne, which is the fourth one in the Inheritance game. Well, it's the Inheritance game trilogy, and then like this one, I think, is just kind of like a novella. So it's not a novella. That's incorrect terminology. It comes after the original trilogy, but you don't have to read this as a part of the trilogy. And you guys, it was so good. And for no reason other than that. So I should say that I started reading the Inheritance trilogy like right after the first book came out. This is when I still cared about being on top of series and new releases. My friends know that Jamie and Grayson Hawthorne are my like I can fix them, which I don't have that many of. So the main trilogy takes place from the perspective? Yeah, that sounds right. Of Avery, and this one does it. This one takes place from the perspective of Grayson and Jamie, and it was so good. It was just, I really love the way that Jennifer Lynn Barnes writes like mysteries. I personally I love the hypothetical concept of tension, but I also don't like being too tense, but I also need some form of tension so that I don't get bored. Like I need tension and I need plot happening, but I also need to feel happy with the characters at some point, and like mainly just having a good time. And then the tension, yeah, you understand. I'm totally blabbering on, and she just does that. Oh my god. And then I also have such respect for authors who have a ship in their main series and then like they'll do spin-offs and like you just get to see the couple together, and like that yes, I love couple content. So yeah, I had too much of a good time, and like honestly it really surprised me because these books are YA and there's some stuff like not incredibly explicit stuff or anything like that, but definitely like stuff where I was like, ooh, that's crazy for a YA series. That was horrendous. Sorry. Yeah, but sorry, you do in fact have to read the Inheritance game trilogy to read this. So okay, moving on. Guys, we did it. We've made it to the last book, and I unfortunately just barely realized that the thing I was talking about, like trying not to have series where like the book that I'm talking about is not the first one. Unfortunately, that also applies to this one. But that book is A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab. You guys, I was on the floor. I was in tears. I have no physical ability to actually tell you what the feeling was for this book, because if you followed my journey reading these, you know that I didn't really like love the first one. Like I was like, okay, it's like it's a decent book, but I didn't really love it. And then the second one I was like really warming up to the world, and I was like, okay, I can see where we're going, but like I need a little bit more. And like this delivered. This was so good. Now I know that the first book was like setting up to get here, which like makes sense. It's the first book. Duh. But yeah, no, and oh my god, Unwell, Screaming Crying, my favorite ships, Pirates at some point, Magic. Please refer to the December video if you want to hear more about this book, because I have no thoughts. My head is empty. I'm hungry. The dog is barking across the house, and I really need to pee. So yeah, go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. Yeah, I believe still while I was filming this video, we are at 37 subscribers. So if you want to help me reach 50, that'd be greatly appreciated. Yeah, we're closer to 50 than 0, guys. Like that's impressive. Thank you for everyone who is subscribed. Also, if you could leave a like, that would mean a lot. And then I love reading and responding to comments. So please leave a comment. Like what is your favorite book from 2024? Or it could be your favorite book of all time. I don't know. I'm always looking for suggestions. That's it. Okay. Bye. If you don't stop beefing, we're taking you outside. And you can sleep with the cat. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. I'm getting off topic again. Tropicana orange juice. Ooh, wait, can I do a transition? I am peachless. Some of you have, yep, okay. Yeah, incredibly like explicit.